They laughed when she walked in. No one bothered to look twice. Just the janitor, a mop, a rag, a bucket. Her name was Martha, Martha Green, 61 years old, 5'3", silver hair, a slight hunch, and hardly ever spoke. Her job cleaning floors, scrubbing oil stains off the cockpit, wiping up spilled coffee, cleaning up after careless words. Every morning she arrived at 4:45. Before the sun even rose. No one asked her to come early. She just did. Every single day. She once cleaned Helicopter 3, the one no one dared touch. It had issues, hard to fix, feared to crash mid-air. But she worked in silence. Every bolt, every window. No one asked. No one thanked her. What did the young pilots call her? Dustbuster lady? The mop fairy? The grease granny? They laughed. They turned away. She just kept scrubbing. She didn't react. Didn't get mad. She was used to it. The world only sees the shiny parts. No one looks beneath the surface. No one knew who she used to be. They didn't know about 1999, when a Category 5 hurricane hit Miami, when the entire rescue crew bailed. Only one chopper took off. The pilot, her, Martha Green, from the U.S. Coast Guard, and she saved 4 stranded fishermen. But that's old news now. An internal dispute, a false accusation, a resignation no one remembers. She walked away from the skies, picked up a mop, a rag, moved to Hope Valley, where she became invisible, until one freezing winter morning. Snow blanketed everything. All roads shut down. A call came from a nearby town. A little boy. Severe brain trauma. Needed emergency airlift. Needed someone to fly right now. No one stepped up. Wind howled. Sky gone white. Ice everywhere. Even the squad leader said no. Too dangerous. We're standing down. Heads dropped. Silence thick. The radio crackled on. Mayday. Mayday. Still calling. And then someone stepped forward. Her safety vest was worn thin. Boots stained with engine oil. A flight helmet pulled from an old locker, held gently in her hands. No one could believe it. The janitor was volunteering to fly Helicopter 3. A tech burst out laughing. "Lady, you flying with that mop?" She didn't answer, just checked the fuel. Only one person wasn't laughing. Haley, a young assistant who'd been watching. She saw how Martha touched the blades, how she listened to the engines, like someone who'd once flown through storms. "You were a pilot, weren't you?" Haley asked, eyes on her hands. Martha nodded, gently. No pride, just truth. "Just once. You don't have to do this," Haley whispered, voice trembling. "No one's making you." Martha looked at her, calm. No one has to. But someone's got to fly. Then she stepped into the cockpit. The chopper trembled under her boots. Haley handed her the helmet, wordless. Martha took it, wore it, buckled tight. One beat of silence. Then the rotors whirred. Winds roared. Snow blasted sideways. People rushed outside shocked. Some pulled out phones. Some shook their heads. "She's gonna crash. This is insane. No one survives this storm." But Martha was different. She'd survived worse. Not because she wasn't afraid, but because she knew fear mattered. She knew flying wasn't just skill. It was heart. It was instinct. It was something long forgotten. She flew into the whiteout. No GPS, no radar, just wind and gut. That boy was waiting, and Martha had nothing left to lose. The helicopter trembled inside a curtain of snow. Wind slammed against the frame like fists. Martha held steady on the controls. Her eyes locked on the fogged windshield. No co-pilot, no radar, just instinct and fading memories, and a life waiting beyond the storm. Every time the wind roared, the chopper rocked. The blades screamed like sirens. She whispered under her breath, "Hold on, girl. We faced worse than this." Back in Hope Valley's control room, no one dared speak. They just stood frozen eyes on the monitor. No one could believe it. A janitor was doing this. The chief paced back and forth, face burning with anger. She wasn't cleared to take off. "We'll get sued. We'll lose our jobs." Haley said nothing. She sat by the radio headset on, waiting for something. A voice, a breath, any sign from the cockpit. But the silence was heavy. Too heavy. Martha flew low, hugging the ridgeline. She remembered the East Stream, frozen solid in winter, but the straightest shot to Snowpine. She banked left, shifted course, slow, steady, no panic, no rush. In Snowpine, a team of nurses waited on a rooftop. The boy lay wrapped in blankets. Blood trickled from his ear. His eyes wouldn't open. His mother knelt beside him, sobbing. The doctor shook his head. "If they're not here in 20 minutes, there's no saving him." Then a sound cut through the wind. Everyone looked up into the gray sky. For a moment, nothing. Then a shadow. A black chopper. Blades howling. The mother screamed, "They're here. They're really here." The doctor froze, speechless. Martha gripped the descent lever. Crosswinds slammed the hull. She didn't panic. She waited for the rhythm. 1 beat, 2. She tilted left, adjusted pitch. The landing wasn't perfect, but it was safe. Skids scraped the icy rooftop, then stopped. Silence. The roof held. Only the wind howled on. 2 nurses rushed over. The doctor carried the boy in his arms, laid him gently in the back. Martha checked everything oxygen good, safety straps secured. She turned to the mother. "We'll bring him home." The woman could only sob. The helicopter lifted again. Winds stronger now. The storm fought back. Martha bit her lip. Hands locked tight. Every muscle in her body ached, but she didn't stop. Not with a child behind her. Not with the storm still screaming. She whispered, like a prayer, "Can I still fly?" Yes. As long as someone still needs saving. Hope Valley held its breath. A green blip reappeared on the radar. It was them. Haley burst into tears. She gripped the headset. "Martha, do you copy?" A long pause. Then a raspy voice. "Haley, the kid's okay. We're coming home." The control room erupted. Cheers. Applause. Tears. Even the coldest hearts softened. Except the supervisor. He stood in silence. Defeated. His pride shattered in the wind. The chopper touched down on the auxiliary field right behind the rescue station. 4 trucks formed a ring, headlights cutting through the snow. The helicopter descended slowly. When the skids touched down, no one dared breathe. The door opened. Martha stepped out. Snow clung to her jacket. Her silver hair blew softly in the wind. She carried the boy, handed him to the doctor, then turned and walked into the shadows. No words, no grand gestures, just a silence that said everything. Haley ran after her, hugged her tight. You did it. Martha gave a quiet nod. I never forgot how to fly. The next morning, still cold, snow falling gently, no more wind, but inside Hope Valley Rescue Station, the air was tight, tense. The board had called an emergency meeting. At the top of the agenda, Martha Green. Reason, serious breach of protocol. Martha sat alone in the hallway, her old coat folded on her lap. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but because this had happened before. Years ago. A different room. A long table. Too many eyes. She'd been falsely blamed and walked away from the Coast Guard. The door opened. A staff member called Ms. Green. They're ready for you. She stood, slowly, steadily. Inside sat 6 people in suits. An emergency report lay in the center. The lead officer began. You understand what you've done? Martha nodded, silent. You took off without clearance. You're not an active pilot. You put this entire station at risk. We need answers. She looked up, eyes steady. I flew because no one else would. Because someone needed saving. No rule says I can't feel the wind. No law stops me from saving a life. One board member chuckled. You think you're some kind of hero? You were suspended once, remember? We don't need another lawsuit. Martha answered calmly. I don't need a title. I just didn't want anyone to die. Not because we were too afraid. Not because we waited for paperwork. The room fell quiet. The lead officer studied her. You won't be fired. But we can't condone what you did. No one else is to take off like that again. This is your formal warning. Martha nodded. No pushback. She was used to being overlooked. She stood ready to leave when a voice rang from outside the door. Wait, I have something to say. Heads turned. It was Haley. She stepped in, holding a folder. Her voice shook, but was clear. Did any of you actually read this Martha Green's file? She completed 12 critical missions. She was honored at the national level. She flew into ocean storms to save soldiers. One board member cut in. That was a long time ago. Haley stood her ground. But none of us here have done what she did. Not one of us. You sit here with policies. But what about conscience? If she hadn't flown yesterday, that child would be dead. The room went still. Haley placed the file on the table. Discipline her if you want, but at least acknowledge this. She's not just the janitor. She's the one who saved a life. One councilman sighed. We'll need time to review. Martha walked to Haley, her eyes soft, quietly grateful. Thank you, kid, but I'm used to this. Haley held her hand tight. No, it's time the world knew. That evening, the internet exploded. A video spread like wildfire. Martha, stepping down from the chopper, a child in her arms barely breathing. Snow covering the ground below. Caption: The janitor and the flight that changed everything. Comments poured in. She's a legend. Never judge someone by their uniform. This is real courage. The child survived. Doctors confirmed no brain damage. His family sent a thank you letter. One copy went directly to Martha. We don't know your name, but you gave our son a second chance. Thank you. Thank you for having the courage to fly. A week after the flight that changed everything, Hope Valley Rescue Center ran as usual. People came. People went. Snow kept falling. But something in the air had shifted. Every time Martha walked the halls, There were no more whispers behind her, no more snickers, no more smirks, only quiet, respectful glances. The supervisor's tone had changed. He started avoiding her gaze, stopped interrupting her mid-sentence, no longer emphasized the word janitor. And Haley. She walked beside Martha every morning, asking questions, taking notes, listening closely to every word. Martha felt like she'd stepped back in time, but this time she wasn't alone. One morning, the deputy director approached, a slim folder in his hands. "We've been talking," he said, "and we want to propose something new, an emergency flight training program for extreme weather conditions, and the lead instructor, if you're willing, would be you." Martha stared at him for a long moment, not out of surprise, but because something inside her softened. It wasn't an official apology, but it was something close, a wordless recognition. She nodded. "Not because I need this, but because others need to know." The training program started small. One class, 6 students, 2 young pilots, 1 nurse, 3 local volunteers. Haley stood beside Martha as her assistant. She named the program Flying with the Wind. Martha didn't teach with PowerPoints. No whiteboards. No lesson plans. She taught with real engines, with blades that howled in winter wind, with the roar that fills a cockpit, with instincts that had saved lives. Hold the stick like you'd hold a patient's hand. Don't yank. Don't force. Just guide. Listen to the machine. Trust your feet. Nothing replaces feeling. You don't fly to impress. You fly to survive. So others can. The students began to change. No more dry textbook questions, only sharp eyes, steady hands on the yoke, late-night drills in the snow. No complaints. No one quit. One night, Haley asked quietly, "Do you ever wish to return to the skies?" Martha was silent. Then she smiled softly. "I never left. People just stopped seeing me up there." The program grew. Other centers requested materials. A news station did a special report. People began calling it the Martha Green Program. But she never claimed credit. She simply watched her students take flight. One afternoon, a young girl showed up, 17, curly hair, oversized jacket, clutching a plastic model helicopter. "I was the kid you saved that day," she said. Martha froze, then smiled. "So, you're doing okay?" The girl nodded hard. "I want to learn how to fly." Martha handed her a small wrench. "Then start by learning to listen, to the engine, and to the silence. Because one day, that silence might save you." It was a clear day. No snow, no wind, no disruptions. The students were running flight simulations. Martha stood beside Haley watching. Her eyes just as sharp as day one. No small mistake escaped her gaze. Ease up. Don't force it. Feel it first. Don't fly because you want to. Fly because you must. Josh, the top student in the group, was cleared for a real flight simulation. It would be his first time in the cockpit. Martha turned to Haley. "You're sitting in with him. I'll just observe. You take the lead." Haley nodded, heart racing, but her voice stayed steady. "Josh, lift off when I say go." The helicopter started up smoothly. No glitches, no surprises. Josh kept a steady pace. Rotor spin stable. From a distance, Martha smiled. "That kid's got potential. As long as he stays clear-headed, Suddenly, an alarm rang out. The dispatch radio crackled. Vehicle accident in Green Ridge area. One person trapped inside. Roads iced over. No ground access. Immediate air evac required. No other crews were on site. All main pilots were out on duty. Only Josh Haley and a ready-to-fly helicopter remained. Martha turned toward dispatch. The coordinator nodded. It's just 12 minutes away. The victim's condition is worsening fast. Martha stepped forward. Shut down the engine. Josh turned confused. I can fly. Haley blinked. You mean me? You want me to fly? Martha nodded. You're the only one ready. This is when students take flight. Haley hesitated. I've never flown with a real person on board. Never carried that kind of responsibility. Martha placed a hand on her shoulder. I won't be beside you, but I'll still be here. Trust your hands, and trust yourself. Haley climbed into the cockpit. Josh sat in the co-pilot seat, hands gripping the armrests. No jokes. No cocky grin. The helicopter lifted off. Slow. A little shaky, but solid. Martha watched from the ground, gripping her old flight helmet. Her eyes locked on the rising rotor blades. That old feeling returned, nervous, proud, hopeful. The chopper sped toward Green Ridge. Not much snow, but the wind was shifting fast. Josh called into the headset. Crosswind incoming. Watch the west cliff. Haley adjusted pitch. I remember the lesson. Don't fight the wind. Move with it. Then they saw it. A truck flipped on its side. A man trapped inside, blood down his face, barely conscious. A medic waited nearby, waving frantically from the ridge. Haley lowered altitude. Not too fast, not too low. Josh gripped the seat. We're drifting off axis, Haley corrected. Wind shifted, adjusting left by 1. The chopper leveled out, landed clean in just 7 seconds. The injured man was loaded in. Pulse faint. Blood still flowing. Haley checked her watch. 13 minutes to return. Josh nodded. We can make it. Let's fly like she used to. On the way back, clouds rolled in fast. The sky turned gray. Winds pushed harder. Haley kept her grip steady. No panic. Just feel it. Trust the hands. Josh glanced at her. You sound exactly like Martha. They landed at 6:11 p.m. Dark sky. Light snow. The team ran out to greet them. The patient was rushed inside. But Haley stayed frozen, breathing heavy, eyes shining bright. Martha walked up. You did great. Haley hugged her tightly. I didn't do it for credit. I did it for you. Martha smiled softly. You did it for you. I just reminded you who you are. Spring came the following year. The snow melted slowly atop Hope Valley. Sunlight poured through the station's windows. A new sign stood at the front gate. Martha Green, Flight Training Center. Below it, a smaller line read, You don't fly to be seen. You fly so someone else can live another day. Martha stood at a distance watching, still holding her old flight helmet, the same helmet that had taken her through storms, that had carried people back from the edge. Now it rested inside a glass case right in the heart of the center, beneath a plaque that read, Not a hero, just someone who didn't walk away when it mattered. Haley now served as lead coordinator. Josh had become a senior flight instructor. Over 30 students filled the classrooms. Many had once only dreamed of flying. Now they soared through real skies, guided by lessons forged in the real world. Martha no longer taught up front. She sat quietly in the back, taking notes, occasionally smiling. She didn't need a microphone anymore. Her presence alone spoke volumes. A simple nod from her was the highest silent endorsement. One afternoon, the girl from that winter returned, now 18, taller, same soft curls, same bright eyes. "Ms. Martha, I've signed up for the next course." Martha looked at the young woman. She nodded gently. "You'll fly higher than I ever did, but never forget the ground, because down there, someone always needs saving." The graduation ceremony was simple. No fireworks, no background music. Just students, one by one, pinning their own wings to their shirts. Then stepping outside, looking up at the open sky. Martha stood beside Haley near the helipad. "You know," she said softly, "not everyone gets to fly again, but anyone can pass it on." Haley nodded. "You didn't just teach me to fly. You taught me silence can be powerful, and sometimes the most forgotten person ends up changing the world." Wind brushed across their shoulders. Helicopters lifted steadily into the sky. Calm, quiet, no spotlight needed. Martha watched them ascend, then turned and walked back inside. No one called her the janitor anymore. No one mentioned brooms or buckets. Only one name remained: instructor, guide, guardian of the sky. In this life, there will be times when you're underestimated, times when you're pushed into the background. But no one, not a single person, gets to define your worth but you. No matter who you are, no matter what your past looks like, if you still carry that fire inside, then one day the world will need your light. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for recognition. Just be ready. And when the moment comes, fly just like you were always meant to. Have you ever been overlooked, forgotten in the very place you gave your all? Have you ever stood up when no one believed in you? Share your story in the comments. And if Martha's journey touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe, because more powerful stories are on the way. Somewhere out there, you might be the one who saves a life just by choosing not to give up.